Hi guys, we are back with yet another very exciting and interesting discussion. I'm Deepti, founder of Heal Clinic, and today I have with me Vishwas Kapoor, who is an intuitive healer who left his very lucrative corporate job and moved to energy healing as he realized that that is what gave him satisfaction and a totally new perspective to life, be it relationships, be it work, be it any area of his life. He helps a lot of people being an intuitive healer in their physical ailments, through their house and workspace clearing, business healing, relationship healing, and most importantly, he's someone who's a financial coach who helps people understand how and where they need to deal with their finances. So when I said that we have a very interesting discussion today, it's about patriarchy, breaking the ceiling of patriarchy in our everyday lives. So you have me as a female and Vishwas as a male. And we said, how about both of us coming in together and looking at what is patriarchy and how it affects both the genders in their own ways. Welcome, Vishwas.
Hi, Deepti. So thank you for having me here so that we can have this discussion and let's see where this goes.
Definitely. So this is something which both of us have been talking for some time, because typically we women tend to look at patriarchy, that it affects us and from our point itself, and we talk a lot about women empowerment. But while speaking to him and a lot of other men, we realize that it affects men in its own way.
Yes, it affects men in its own way. The structures that we have, the expectations from men are way more rigid than they are from women, because when we talk about patriarchy affecting women, we feel that they are confined into a specific structure and they are expected to lead their lives according to that structure. However, what very few people seem to notice is, for men, those structures are far more rigid than they are for women, especially in today's time where the landscape is changing and women are going through an empowerment cycle.
Right. That's a
But
very
for
interesting perspective. So tell me, Vishwas, to start with, according to you, what is patriarchy?
So according to me, patriarchy is any set of beliefs, any set of understanding that restricts you from living a life that you want to live. I
Okay.
will not put it as a masculine or a feminine perspective. I will put it more around a, a structure that really confines you and that smothers you so lovingly that you don't even realize you are being smothered until it is too late in life.
That I agree with. And I think that all of us are raised in such setups that most of the times we don't even realize that there is an unconscious patriarchy in all of us, be it men or women.
Yes.
It is just that with this whole feminism movement, it's more apparent for women because everywhere you go on social media, it's spoken about, and which is the truth that for centuries it has been biased against the women. But as you said, that there is a perspective of men too.
Yes, there is a perspective of men too. That has largely been ignored because amongst men, it is talking about your emotions, talking about your feelings, talking about what is happening in your personal space is very uncommon. You will find very few men discussing problems with each other or their buddies that are not office related.
And you're saying that's a result of patriarchy.
Yeah, that's a result of patriarchy. So men are conditioned from birth to not talk about what is bothering them, especially on the home front, or not talk about anything that is bothering them outside the office and the work front. I'd
Okay.
rather put it outside the office and the work front, because even amongst friends, or especially amongst men, groups of men, even when there is a problem between two men because of some ego clashes or whatever, it is it is just there between two men. It does not, no third person may even come to know for a very long time,
And that can be
because
unhealthy.
that can be very unhealthy. Because what happens is, we, and when I'm saying we, I'm talking about men, we are
Right.
conditioned ki जब तक काम से रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, वो तुम्हारे लिए प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
So that's very interesting because as you're saying that patriarchy has forced men not to talk about their emotions, and at the same time, somewhere it has labeled women as being too emotional.
Yes, it has labeled women as being too emotional.
Which is
It
also
has,
a problem.
that is a problem, and it has made women believe that men are heartless. Actually, we've heard that from a number of women, right? That my husband just doesn't care about me, or and if you ask the man, man will say, see, I'm doing whatever I know I should do for her, but she's still saying I don't care for her. So this is a result of very strong patriarchy and a very strong upbringing where there is an absolute disconnect between what the men understand and do and what the women understand and do and what both the genders are looking at from each other.
Right. So, as you know, when I was doing my psychology course, they had taught that there are different ways of expressing love. And when you are in a relationship, if the two don't match, that is when, like, let's say if my expectation is romance and my partner's way of showing love is acts of services. In the
Yes.
sense, you know, like let's say in my case, I'll share a personal example. Like my husband is out there in the house doing everything to make my life comfortable. Like if I have a late night call, if I have to go somewhere, he'll be like, you go, I'll take care of everything, because that's his way of showing love. But there are times when I don't take that. I'm like, that is taken for granted. Ye to usne karna hi hai. But where is the romance? And he's like, but that is my way of showing love. And that is where conflicts arise.
That is not just one way of showing love. If I may just point something out, he's not just showing love. For him, that is being romantic in his sense, because I am doing whatever I can do so that she has the freedom to do what she wants. Now, as a man, even if this is true for me also, between me and my wife, what is important is she expects me to spend time with her. For me, spending time with her can be sitting and watching a movie, sitting and just talking about something, even if it is sitting and discussing problems and issues, domestic or otherwise, sitting and discussing about my kid. So these are things like, according to me, it is time spent with her, but according to her, it is not time spent with her. According to her, we are having a discussion.
Yeah, because that is transactional.
Yeah, this is transactional. For men, everything is, you use the word transactional. For a man lives his life only on basis of transactions. A woman lives her life on the basis of emotions.
Yeah.
This gap that we see, this is a very big result of how we are brought up in our lives.
That's very true. Very, very true. Because if I see, let's say my brother and me who have had the same upbringing, but still there's a difference in now as adults how both of us operate.
And what is the difference, if you don't mind me asking?
It's something similar, like you said. Like his is more transactional. Like let's say if there is an occasion which is coming in, like he'll just message me and saying, "अच्छा तुझे क्या gift चाहिए?" And for me, it's like, यार कॉल करके पूछ लेना, 2 मिनट बात कर लेते हैं. So very small thing. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't love me, or it doesn't mean that we are not close.
And funnily, this is not even a husband-wife situation. This is a sibling situation, just opposite genders.
Yes, and we have had the same upbringing. But also
Yes.
somewhere now, when you're seeing this, if I also go back to our upbringing, I also see that there was this difference between my parents. So we also pick up from our parents.
Yes.
So he has picked up from how he saw men operating around him, and I picked up from how I see women operating around me.
I would just like to add to that. When a man looks, or rather during his upbringing phase, a man not only looks up to how men behave, he also looks up to grown-up women and how they expect men to behave. Because जैसे बोलते हैं it is usually mama's boy and daddy's girl, at least up to adolescence.
Right.
Then probably things change, probably not always. So what happens is, when you are saying mama's boy, then that man should, or that boy should be emotional, right? Because he is very attached to his mother, who is an emotional person. And the daughter should be pretty transactional because she is attached to her father, who is transactional in nature.
Right.
However, what happens is, the boy looks at the mother and the mother says, you can't behave emotionally. कितनी दफा हमने सुना है, how many men and how many boys have come up, at least in the, in the recent years, have come up and said, men are told you can't cry.
Yeah.
I mean, and now this is not to ignite a debate or anything. This is just a very small, simple statement that has very far-reaching consequences. And similarly, so many daughters have heard from their fathers कि ये तुमसे नहीं हो पाएगा. क्यों नहीं हो पाएगा? ये जो स्ट्रक्चर, ये जो रिजिड स्ट्रक्चर है, ये हमको लिमिट कर देता है.
True. So which means that each of us in our personal lives, if we can start recognizing the structures that we have created around us, either consciously or subconsciously because of the society, the first step would be to recognize that ये एक structure में हम रह रहे हैं. Once we become aware of it, then we can look at how to either shift that structure or totally crumble that structure and move to a new structure.
Yes. Awareness is very important over here, because a lot of these things are very subconscious. We don't even realize that. I mean, today there are places where even I tell my daughter, ki, you don't do this. And then I have to catch myself and say, why is she not allowed to do this?
So give me an example of a structure which, as a male, you feel that it's a structure that you need to, it's high time that you break that structure.
So one very important structure is, a very personal example would be, I do a lot of electrical work at home. I like doing it. I have an interest towards it, so I do it. Chota mota electrical repair work or anything, I do it. So initially, when my daughter used to come up to me and ask, can I help or can I do something, I would say, nahi chhod do, main kar dunga. And then I realized, by doing this, I'm somewhere making her dependent on me or somebody else to do this kind of work, because my wife doesn't understand this at all. So what I wanted to change over here for my daughter is, she should basically at least understand basics kya hota hai. I'm not telling her to go and lay down wiring of a house, but how to change a bulb, how to look at a socket and test whether electricity aa rahi hai nahi aa rahi hai.
Right.
The basis, the boxes hote hain electrical sockets ke, where are the screws located, what what is the basic wiring structure. So then I did not start by straight away telling her ki ab aap karo. All I said is, theek hai, you come, you get me the screwdriver. So it started with, you want a plus screwdriver or you want a minus screwdriver? Okay, now for a woman, it's a plus screwdriver or a minus screwdriver. For a man, it is a Phillips screwdriver or it's a normal screwdriver. So I had to adjust to her terminology, because of course I'm not going to tell her ki aap terminology galat bol rahe ho. It doesn't matter yaar, it doesn't really matter. So she'll start with plus screwdriver, minus screwdriver. Then what is a tester, what is a plier, what do you want? You want a tester, you want a hammer, you want a plier. So dheere dheere karke, today at least if I can really tell her that just open the cover of the switchboard and I'll come in that much time. She'll find the right tool. She knows how to at least open the switchboard cover. Okay, I don't expect her to do anything more. But for me, I think that's a very big step, where if I look at my wife, for her, even changing a bulb, she'll wait for me or she'll call me. Vishu, ye bulb fuse ho gaya hai, ye badalna hai.
So I think
So,
just one statement I'll point out, which you have said twice, that I don't expect her to do more than this. I think that's where the patriarchy comes, because let's say if you had a son, you wouldn't have made that statement. So in case,
probably yes,
let's
that
say
is,
she's interested in going ahead, like even laying the wires, why not?
why not? You see, if her interest is there, why not?
Right.
From my point of view, I am saying I don't expect her to do anything anymore, because she doesn't have that kind of a bend or an inclination.
Go and tell her about her.
She's a very arty person. She's a very creative person. So this this is again a very different approach. So that is why I don't expect her. But today, if she comes up to me and she says, "Ki, I want to understand how a fan works, or how to change wiring," I won't step back. I won't stop her from this.
No, I think that's an excellent thing, which to all our listeners, I would say that's a great example that, do not, we tend to do this unconsciously. This work is only for our daughters or this work is only for our sons. No, if your son is interested in going to the kitchen and cooking, in fact, I think you should make him, because cooking is a life skill. It's no longer a
It's a life
gender-based
skill.
thing. Similarly, like he's saying, even electric and all, like even I don't know, but I would love to know, because then you become dependent on others. So I think the first structure to break in patriarchy is to stop thinking that certain profession, forget professions, even knowledge or skill
Yes.
is gender based.
The minute you start adding gender to any skill, you are creating a structure which can really smother, or bring somebody's life to a standstill.
Right.
Today, if you look up, on social media, there are so many women who are doing jobs that are typically male jobs. But why are they doing it? They are not doing it because they wanted to break something. They are doing it because they have an interest, and in some of these cases, they are really better than most of the men also doing it.
And they had an environment, they had that one parent who
Yes.
supported them. And I think that's the whole purpose when we are talking about breaking the patriarchy ceiling. We're not talking about becoming an activist or taking out a morcha. It's these small everyday things that if we can start bringing about in our households, in our interactions with our spouses, with our children, with even sometimes the teachers of our children, work
Yes.
colleagues, everywhere. Like I'll give you a personal example. I have two daughters. My younger daughter is in sports, is into sports. So since we have encouraged her, so recently, a couple of months back in school, when their sports teacher were making them do exercise, his statement was, okay, girls do 5 push-ups, boys do 10 push-ups. So she took an objection. She went to the sports sir and she said that, why are you saying that girls do 5 and boys do 10? I can do more than 10. He said, show me. She did 20 push-ups. The next day in the sports period, the sir actually said, do push-ups as per your capability. This was a small change.
Yes.
So even if a 15-year-old girl can bring about that change in someone, and I think that's the purpose of this conversation that we are having, that all of us have the ability to bring about that change in the society around us.
That's very important, because that small change that the sir made, that it does not just change your daughter's life, it changes the life of anybody whom he's coaching.
Yes.
Because there could be a boy who's not capable of
doing
doing even 10 push-ups.
True.
So she stood up, she created a change, and the ripple effect will be felt by everybody around her.
True.
So I think I must really congratulate you and your daughter to do something like this.
Yeah. So, but then it's not been an easy journey, because I'm also a product of this society. So it's taken a long time for me to reach this space and to teach my daughter this. So I always feel that, let's say, if Vishwas is also a product of the society, and if he could have his daughter, he could teach his daughter the electrical, how an electrical point works, the plug points, and I could give my daughter the freedom to go up to this. I'm sure to all our listeners here, you can all look at your life, start thinking about these small changes that you can bring about, that in the long run, if all of us make that one change, in the long run, I'm hoping that it can bring about a change in the way that we as a society think and we as a society act.
Yes. And I think that the simplest way to notice would be, where do you use this statement ये तुम नहीं कर पाओगे just because you're a boy or a girl, या
Yes.
ये तुम्हें नहीं करना चाहिए just because you're a boy or a girl.
या ये तुम्हें करना चाहिए because
हाँ,
you're a boy or a girl.
okay, yes, that's the flip side of that statement.
है ना, like let's say that every girl is expected to cook, for example, right? So every boy is expected to be successful in their career. Why? You can have, like, I think that movie was there, Key and Car, which was a
It was
classic
a brilliant
example.
movie.
It's a classic example where why is it that always the pressure of earning is on the guy, or why is it that the pressure of maintaining a household is always on the female? So I
Yes.
think we should be looking at such things and seeing that how can we bring about those changes instead of just sitting and saying that we are all affected by patriarchy, because that is something which is a given. So let's see how we can move ahead from that.
Yes, let's see how we can move ahead. And this is why it is important that, this is why we started with this initiative, so that we understand where we stand today as a society and what are the small things that we can do as men and women to change this.
Yeah, so I think this is an invite which Vishwas and me would like to give out to everybody who's listening to us, that every Sunday, at least for the next 3 to 4 weeks, 9 to 10, we are opening up a platform if you would like to join us to talk about the structures that are existing structures that are not working out for us and what have we done, because the more stories we share, the more we can help people out there.
Yes.
So do register for these sessions. That the first session we have had yesterday, which was Sunday, where we discussed with a few men as to how patriarchy affects men, and we realized that instead of just being a men, this platform should be open to men and women both,
Yes.
because we both need to listen to each other's point of view, because it's not a one-sided story as the social media would like us to believe. So please do register and join us next Sunday at 9 p.m. India time. We would love to hear your stories. And even otherwise, you can email us, WhatsApp us. The numbers will be given in the comment section below about what you would like to address in these sessions, and if what is it that you have done which has helped you break certain ceilings.
Thank you so much, Deepti.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Vishwas, for being here, and we'll see all of you all next Sunday.
We look forward to more people joining in, so
Yes.
that we can have more fun and more understanding as to what is stopping you from living your life, and what small changes can be done so that you can overcome these barriers.
Sure. Thank you so much.